everybody, and welcome back to the Bay Bolts channel. Today, we have a trade to talk about. Yes, I know we weren't expecting any trades. It's kind of crazy for the Lightning to make this kind of move when they have $0 in cap space. But nonetheless, we do have a minor trade to talk about on the channel today. As always, my name is Jake Ricker, alongside my co-host Michael Wax. Michael, how you doing today?
I'm doing well. When JBB said no trades, and I know I kept mentioning it in every video, but I did not expect a trade to happen. In terms of what the trade means, it's sort of minor, but it's a trade nonetheless.
That is correct. So let's take a look at the trade right here. So the Tampa Bay Lightning have acquired forward Antoine Morand and a 7th-round pick in the 2023 NHL draft in exchange for Alex Volkov. So this is a minor deal overall, but Alex Volkov headed to the Anaheim Ducks in exchange for Antoine Morand and a 2023 7th-round pick. Michael, I'll start with you. What are your thoughts on this trade?
Well, I want to start off with Alexander Volkov. This was a kid that really never found his footing with the Lightning. He spent some time with Kucherov and Stamkos on his line. That didn't really work out. And then he played only that one game in the bubble, which happened to be the Stanley Cup clinching game. And then this season, it seemed like he was starting to regain his confidence. I had that article about how during his 2-goal game, it really seemed like he was breaking out of his shell. But it seems like with the emergence of Ross Colton and the opportunity to move Matthew Joseph between center and wing, and the returning Mitchell Stevens, who Coach Cooper said will probably be back sometime next week, the roster flexibility really got to a point where you couldn't really use it anymore. You had to constantly move people back from the taxi squad to the minors to the NHL level. And for JVB, I'm sure it was just a big headache. So he decided we're going to get rid of one of our guys. And unfortunately, it had to be Volkov. We'll get to what the return is, but as far as Volkov goes, I hope he succeeds in Anaheim. He'll have somebody familiar in the form of Kevin Shattenkirk that he can really bond with over there. But overall, I feel bad for him. They couldn't make it work in Tampa, and I hope he does in Anaheim.
Yeah, and that's exactly why this trade was made. It was to get some more flexibility in calling up players up and down when needed for the Tampa Bay Lightning, because as you mentioned, that's become a little bit of a headache. And with the emergence of guys like Ross Colton, ABB, that just needed to be moved. It was something that was going to happen sooner rather than later, and Volkov unfortunately was the one that got traded. And for any Ducks fans that might be watching this video, Alex Volkov is a decent little forward, and he's got a lot of potential. I feel like last year with Tampa Bay Lightning, or this year, excuse me, the Tampa Bay Lightning, he played in 19 games, had 3 goals, 2 assists, and 5 points. And then for the Crunch last year, he played in 46 games, had 9 goals, 21 assists, and 30 points. He did play one game in the Stanley Cup final for the Tampa Bay Lightning, so take that as you will. Is a Stanley Cup champion, so always good to have a Stanley Cup champion on your team, I would say. But Michael, let's talk about what the Lightning got back in exchange for Alex Volkov. So first off, they get a 7th-round pick in 2023. Michael, you were talking about this a little bit before we started recording this video. The Lightning are actually pretty good with 7th-round picks.
Yeah, they've dominated when it comes to the later part of the draft. You look at last year when they drafted Declan McDonald, he's already starting to play in the AHL and had a fairly decent career in the OHL as well. If you go back a year before that, Mikhail Sheligan, his expectations are probably a little too high in terms of Lightning fans, but he's performing very well, whether it's in the ECHL or in the KHL. He's starting to get in some games there. And they got McCade Webster, who is performing very well in terms of a right-handed left winger at the University of Denver. Going back even further, Radim Salda is someone that I think Lightning fans should get used to hearing. Sammy Watker is one of the best college hockey players in the entirety of the NCAA, which I think is just an absolute steal for the Lightning. Ryan Lowen, Otto Sompi, those are 2 other guys. As far as the JBB era goes, the 7th round has been an absolute fantastic round for the Tampa Bay Lightning. So, in terms of a seventh round pick, you'd like that pick to be a little bit higher, especially when you get rid of someone as talented as Alexander Volkov, but they nail their picks in the seventh round. So, if there's a chance that the person they draft can be even more of a producer for the Lightning than Alex Volkov, I think it's perfect for the Lightning.
Hey, when you draft guys like Andre Palat in the seventh round, I trust the Lightning when it comes to seventh round picks for sure. Let's talk about the prospect that we got back though in this deal as well in Antoine Morand. I apologize if I'm mispronouncing that name. Got to learn how to say these new names, but for in the AHL this season, he had 21 games played, had 1 goal, 5 assists, and 6 points. Last year in the AHL as well, he had 54 games played, 5 goals, 11 assists, and 16 points. It's not a ton of offense. He definitely hasn't played up to the level that I think that many people have expected of him. When he did play in the QMJHL for 3 years, he had 3 70-point seasons, all 20 goals as well, about 50 assists for each of those seasons, all very similar right there. So he's got a little bit of potential when it comes to the offensive side of things, but just hasn't really been able to get to his full potential in his second year in the AHL. However, and I'll say this now, and then Michael, I'll let you comment on this. I don't think he's going to be a player we potentially see up at the NHL level anytime soon. I think this is really just a roster transaction, basically, to free up that spot in the taxi squad in the NHL level with Alex Volkov. And then this guy will probably just play in the AHL for most of his career. Now, who knows? Maybe he could have a resurgence here in Syracuse with our great coaching staff that we have down there, and he could make it up to the NHL level one day. But just looking at from what he's been able to do as of late and the way the things are working out right now with all of our other prospects, I don't see him becoming a big part of this franchise, which is fine because I think that was the right move for the Lightning to make.
Yeah, like I said before we started recording, I think this is going to be a fine deal for the Lightning in the long run. I do think that the value they got back wasn't necessarily what I would like to see in terms of Alex Volkov. We already talked about the seventh round pick. In terms of Morand, he might not make the NHL, but if he does, according to a lot of Ducks fans, he is a solid penalty killer on the San Diego Gulls of the AHL. He's a very good defensive forward. He's a guy that has a bit of the things that the Lightning are looking for, whether it's Braden Point or Anthony Cirelli or Mitchell Stevens or Yanni Gord, Blake Coleman. You go up and down this roster, and it's full of two-way forwards that really exemplify how to play in the defensive zone. Now, Morand's scoring really has not shown up. I think that is his key detriment to possibly making it big time in the NHL. But once he comes to the crunch, he's going to be playing with really talented players, whether it's Peter and whether it's Alex Barry-Boulet or Jamel Smith, or if Taylor Radish goes back down, or someone like Jimmy Huntington. These are guys that can really make sure that his stock and Moran's stock is who I'm talking about accelerate in the eyes of the Tampa Bay Lightning. So overall, you're probably right. This is not going to impact them in a huge way, but I do think it is a possibility where you could see Morand a couple years down the line become a fourth line penalty kill specialist.
Yeah, and you're right with the prospects that he's going to be playing with. He's going to be playing some really good players. Jamel Smith, I don't know what he finished last night, but had like a 5 point night last night with the Syracuse Crunch. So he was playing really, really well, which is good to see. But it's going to be interesting to see how this all works out. I think this was a smart move overall by the Lightning. It's obviously, again, as we mentioned, just a move to make things easier for the Lightning and moving players up and down when it comes to the taxi squad and the NHL level. It technically, I think, frees up a tad bit of cap space, but not really that much. This is not a cap move. I want to make that very clear. And as for the Lightning moving on here, I wouldn't expect any more trades. If they're going to make some more moves, it's going to have to be someone like Alex Killorn or Tyler Johnson to free up some cap space. But as JPB has said before, there's not expected to be any big moves. But crazier things have happened, so who knows? Michael, anything else to add on this trade before we wrap up the video?
Nope. I think that when you look at the roster as it is right now, it's very much set in stone. I think they said that a couple of weeks ago, but even with the trade of Volkov, now you do have spots for people like Colton and a returning Stevens and someone like Taylor Radish if he wants to get into some games. So overall, this was a necessary trade.
That's going to do it for us, guys, in today's video. Be sure to let us know in the comments down below what your thoughts are on this trade. Any and all comments are always appreciated. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe on this video. Make sure you ring that bell so you don't miss out on more videos just like this one. Coming out this Saturday, we have a very exciting video where me and Michael are going to be taking a look at who we think the top 5 Lightning players are of all time in the Lightning franchise. So be sure to be on the lookout for that video. It should be a fun one. But with that said, I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. And remember, your Tampa Bay Lightning are your defending Stanley Cup champions.
Go Bolts.